Hello and welcome to the Lost Art Podcast. I'm Paul and I'm here with Gar.
That's me.
And I just realised that today we always lead in really slowly to what this is, even though by the time it goes out, the name of the fucking podcast is there at the top. So yes. I can go, ooh, today, have a guess what we're doing. Everyone right now is say it, what we're doing. They've already said it. Look,
get to it.
They're doing B-sides. We are... We had B-sides on the back burner for a long time, and now it's time to actually do it, because some of the great B-sides are not available on Spotify platforms, so it made it hard to. But these are the ones that are. There's a few that I love more than the ones that I put on, but they weren't available. So
definitely,
that's every now and then we're hamstrung by the platform that we're on, but it makes for easy listening and easy.
Exactly. Yeah. One of the things I want to get across to people as well is that I would really appreciate, we always ask them to do it, but I really want people to kind of weigh in on Facebook and Twitter and all that malarkey with what their favourite B-side is. Whether it's on Spotify or not, let us know what yours is, because it's one of those things I think B-sides are one of those kind of music fan treasure trove of things that you might not have actually heard it before. Could be a great song by an artist that you love and you may never have heard it before. So I want people to weigh in with theirs.
Absolutely, yeah. There's certain ones that maybe don't, I don't know, songs that for whatever reason never made it onto the album. They were, it could have just been, there's already a song a little bit like that on the album, so, or it's too long or something like that, whatever it was. Yeah. And in some cases they wrote it to be the B-side.
Exactly. I think there was traditionally one of the I think at the beginning B-sides were just excess kind of chopping room floor malarkey left over from the record or sessions, and then eventually it seemed to evolve into the band wanted to experiment a little bit and do something different that wouldn't fit on a record, or maybe they just dump it on a CD or whatever. I know there's one band that I have on here that we're told that they had to have, for every one single they released, had to have 3 B-sides ready, so it just became a thing. There was a particular era, like the 90s in particular, B-sides were just a huge thing.
One of the artists I picked said that he didn't even know they were a thing until England, like the English record label was like, oh, you need B-sides, and he was like, okay. Grand, weird, but okay.
Just saying, because even going back, you remember like 9 Inch Nails when the Downward Spiral came out, and they'd release Closer CD one single, and there'd be like 3 of them. You know what I mean? And you had to they all came in weird kind of clamshell cases, and in some cases, the first one would come with like 2 or 3 empty slots for the CDs that were going to be released in the weeks previous. They were like mini box sets,
It's pure fucking. Now, to be cynical, it's kind of like get them to buy more and more and more, but they're collectible. If you had done it now, they'd be worth something.
We have most of those 9 Inch Nails ones here, actually. I think I do.
Like the art of the B-side is sort of dead now, because
pretty much
the album is sort of dead. So you just got singles now.
B-sides are a relic of a relic almost.
Yeah, like when I released that, when I put that single up for Spotify, it should be out in a couple of weeks. I was thinking, fuck, I should put a little B-side on it, something that I didn't get done in the proper studio, something that I just have master it nearly the same. And then I was like, fuck, they're gonna cost me. It's gonna be turned into a mini EP. Then, it doesn't really. Spotify doesn't really recognize B-sides so much, so it would have been an extra bit of money to put this thing on. I'm good.
Will anybody appreciate it? That's the issue you're dealing with in this year.
I think the best option is just to have those rarities.
Have them
chopped up, little EP in between. Where like Kendrick Lamar did them. The B-side is kind of dead because unfortunately the album seems to be sort of on its way out. Possibly it won't ever be dead, but a lot of artists now are gone the EP route, which is a great route, or just a single.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not even singles; they just dropping tracks on Spotify. Like it's one removed again.
Yeah, and then they just get added to the Spotify playlist of that artist. It's weird. Yeah, it's really weird because there's not a lot of consistency to. If you wrote a bunch of songs at a certain time in your life, they sort of sound the same or have common themes, or even just recorded in the same place. Yeah, so it's kind of weird. We've all got classic ideas of B-sides. Now, I will say this straight off the bat. I know actually all my B-sides are like alt rock artists.
Yeah.
But because that was when I was listening to B-sides, when I was a teenager in the 90s, when I was like a sponge for music and I needed to know more. Remember you were like that. People used to be like that about artists. Now artists have to beg and scream and shout to, like, look what I'm doing, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
A while ago, it used to be like, put your email in here for the mailing list, and everyone would be clamoring to do that.
Everyone would be jumping over it. Exactly, yeah.
I want all the information. I want B-sides. I want that B-side. I want that song you always play live. I want that recording of that. Like, and now, it's different now. So, like, there's no point in me pretending that I was listening to B-sides from stuff in the last 10 years, because I haven't been. I just simply haven't been, and they haven't really been. Like, Deftones are a classic example of a band that everyone thinks have whopper B-sides, but they're all covers.
Yes.
So I didn't really want to go down that route. And I also did not want to go down the route, and you're the same. We talked about this before we started. Those B-sides that were so popular they became A-sides.
Yeah, that's another podcast for another day.
That's a different one. And realistically, all you're talking about then is well-known singles.
Yes.
Pretty
much.
It's a linear note or liner note, whatever, to say, oh, this used to be a B-side.
Exactly.
But these ones here are just very, very popular with the fans, B-sides.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to kick off and tell me
what here? With my first one, which is Anthrax, and the song is Parasite. Right. And it was the B-side to 1988's Antisocial. Now, I always liked Anthrax. They're obviously one of the big four thrash metal bands. For me, I loved Metallica up to a certain point. I loved Megadeth up to a certain point. Like Slayer are fine. If Slayer had the best of Slayer, I'm going to be honest with you, that'd probably do me. There's a lot of stuff on those.
I need a bit more than that, but I can see why people.
I think that like a double best of Slayer is probably loud for me, to be brutally honest.
You could be right, actually. Yeah, because double. I'll sign me up for a double. That me as well.
And then you had Anthrax, who, even though I wasn't a massive fan of the Belladonna era vocally, there's still some amazing songs there. Amazing songs. And Anthrax would have been one of the first bands I got into after after Metallica. Megadeth were always there, but for some reason, Anthrax kind of just sang my songs a bit more. They kind of jumped to me. So they had an album out called Attack of the Killer Bees.
Yeah. Hang on. So why are you talking about bees and stuff like that? Did Anthrax ever do anything with Wu-Tang Clan? Ever?
No.
Because I was going to say,
from the same CE, that's it.
Belladonna and Capadonna on the same track.
Exactly.
Anyway,
can you imagine?
And then bees
and Killer Bees, yeah.
Killer Bees. So anyway, come on.
Yeah, Killer Bees is the Wu-Tang kind of.
Yeah.
They didn't. I think, if I remember correctly, the Killer Bees isn't really a B-sides album for Wu-Tang. It's like all their affiliate groups. So they had like Wu-Tang Records. So they signed all their mates to record deals. And this was like a kind of a tester thing where they were showing off a lot of their new talent, and they'd have like what was the name of that group, Children of the Sun or something they were called, and like RZA jump in and do a verse with them, that kind of thing. It's actually pretty good.
I was about to say, Killer Bees is a deadly name for like a B-side.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I realized that's what this is, presumably.
Anthrax got there first, yeah. Anthrax got there first.
Yeah. I was like, no, we'll change it. It's not too late to change it. Even though we've already made people say the name of the
exactly, yeah.
Oh, which would be different by the time it goes out. Oh, it's getting deep now.
Getting deep. Fucking Bception. That's what it is.
I hate that when someone says something and you go, oh, do you know what that'd be a great idea for? And you say it and they go, no, that is what it is. You're like, oh, right, yeah. That is what it is. It is Attack of the Killer Bees, B-sides. Oh, yeah, no.
Oh, I get it now. Yeah, exactly. So this song, Parasite, is actually a cover, but it's a cover of like kind of an unknown French band called Trust. Song was of the same name, obviously. The song's called Parasite. So this band Trust banged it out, and it's okay. So this is real weird. So okay, no, I'm getting it all wrong. This is where we're actually into Bception here. So Parasite is a Kiss song, and Antisocial, which was the A side, was a cover also. I only found this out. I didn't know Antisocial was a cover. This is incredibly complicated. This is why I picked it, because it's a mad fucking story. So Antisocial, the single, is a cover by a French band called Trust. And the B-side, Parasite, is a Kiss song that was written by Ace Frehley. Now, that Parasite song is considered to be like probably one of the heaviest Kiss songs, because Ace Frehley didn't write that much stuff because the lads weren't too happy with him. Gene and the boys were like, that's all a bit heavy, it's a bit too metal. And he was like, man, this is what I'm into. let me do some fucking hard rock and shit, you know.
Also, the crossover with fans is unmistakable. Loads
Yes.
of metalers love Kiss and vice versa.
Exactly. So they released this single where the A is a cover and the B is a cover. And then eventually Anthrax brought out, this is fucking crazy, they bring out, a couple of years later, they bring out another single that has their version of Antisocial and them playing the French version of Antisocial and their Kiss version, their version of Parasite by Kiss on there as well. Now, eventually, this is added on to, obviously, this we're taking this from, it's not the singles. It's impossible to get the singles with the B-sides on Spotify, as you mentioned. So this is coming from Attack of the Killer Bees. The song itself, Antisocial, was from, what was it from? It was from State of Euphoria. So, dealing with, like, how in 1988 does a band from New York who are just getting going find a French rock band to cover for their single that they're going to put onto their album? And then why did they decide, well, if the A side's a cover, why don't we make the B side a cover as well, and we'll cover Kiss, another American band? It doesn't make sense to me. I can't fathom why the B side isn't a song of theirs. And it bothers me. It actually bothers me. It bothers me that, like, both sides of the 7-inch were covers, and it was never really, it wasn't hidden, but they never made a big song and dance about it. Now, the song itself, Parasite, is actually really good. It's a really cool, it's one of the standout songs, actually, because a lot of the stuff on Killer Bees are like, there's a couple of live versions, that's whatever bullshit. I think, if I remember correctly, there's only maybe one actual new Anthrax song on Attack of the Killer Bees, and it's not very good.
They sometimes throw a new one on to
spice it up. Yeah, there's one, I think it's called Starting a Posse or something. It's not good. It's not good. And I thought about picking that, but I decided it's just so shy. I can't actually do it. I can't put it on. I'm gonna pick one of the covers, because Anthrax were known for doing a lot of covers, and especially with the stuff going on now with Scott Ian jumping in with your mates. What are they called? Mike Patton's band.
Oh, he's in with Mr. Bungle.
Yeah, he's playing with Mr. Bungle now, and then he was playing with SOD and stuff like that. Because actually, on Attack of the Killer Bees, that B-sides compilation, there's a couple of SOD covers, which is weird because members of Anthrax are in SOD. It doesn't make much sense to me. Right. I can't figure it out. So what you're dealing with on this B-sides compilation is probably 80% covers, a couple of live things, and one new song, which is garbage. So the best of the bunch from this B-side compilation for me is Parasite. There's a weird remix of Metal Trash and Mad and stuff like that. Doesn't do anything for me, but Parasite itself is a really cool song, and it sounds like an Anthrax song. I need to go and find the Kiss song to see if the riff itself is lifted or whether they kind of rework the riff, because the riff sounds super Anthraxy. It's super trash metal.
Well, maybe that's what drew them to it in the first place, though.
It could be.
I mean, that can happen as well.
Like I said, I know that Kiss song is known for being mega heavy, and I know a couple of the other Ace Frehley songs. I think there was stuff on Revenge that he wrote for them that was mad heavy as well, when they were trying to do their whole grunge movement. And I know they're not super mad on doing the heavy stuff, but this is one of them that they only played live for a year before the crowds were like, just play fucking God Gave Rock and Roll to you prick. Anyway, that's Anthrax with Parasite off Attack of Killer Bees. Originally the B-side to Antisocial in 1988. Who is your first one?
My first one is a very famous B-side. It's Yellow Ledbetter by Pearl Jam. And this is probably such a popular B-side that it is in a lot of people's like top 10 Pearl Jam songs. And if you were to ask me to name like 10 Pearl Jam songs, I'd have Yellow, like not my favorite. I'm just saying name 10. Yellow Ledbetter would probably come in the first 10. It always strikes me as such a big song for them. But it's actually a B-side from the Jeremy single from 1992. And it was an outtake from their first album, 10. And it's one of the first songs Pearl Jam ever wrote together. And Mike McCready said that we never played any of Parasite. We were supposed to play some.
It doesn't matter. We can play. We'll do a few selections. I'm not. The playlist is there. We'll do a few selections. You let me know if you want to play it, and I'll let you know if we're going to play it.
I will. Yeah, we'll play bits.
It's an Anthrax song. It's, you know what an Anthrax song sounds like. It's grand. Do you know what I mean? I was looking at it there, going, "You never press play on it." You know, that's all right.
Yeah, well, Mike McCready said about this one. He said he can't remember why it never made it onto 10, but he remembers being really pissed off and sort of sad about why it didn't. It did eventually appear on Lost Dogs, which is the B-Sides and Rarities album from 2003.
I've seen that floating around before, and I never picked it up or bothered listening to it. Because I said to you before, I'm not a mad Pearl Jam fan, but as I got older, I started appreciating them.
Yeah, it's more like this song definitely does sound like it's somewhere between 10 and V, which makes no sense because it was written sort of before 10. It's technically in the same era anyway. Like it's only a few years in the difference of them anyway. But it could fit on the first two albums. Has a bit of that slower acousticy start to it, and then it kind of kicks off a little bit. The vocal on it is incredible. Eddie Vedder is really, really good in it. He said before that there's a lot of people wondering what the song is about, and it is, according to him, was written in the Gulf War era, and it's a sort of anti-patriotic song. The anti-patriotic song sounds like they're coming down on America. Maybe they are or not, but it also just means, it doesn't mean anti-American. I think anti-patriotic means I don't give a fuck about being patriotic.
Yes.
Like me and you were the same like that about Ireland.
Whatever.
It shouldn't be, but it's when other people are getting like, Ireland. I'm like, yeah, grand. Yeah.
I only get pro-Ireland when people directly in front of me are anti-Ireland.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's not my natural state to be pro-Ireland. Yeah. You know what I mean? I have to be antagonized into it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just us though, as people. In the same way, Born in the USA is definitely a bit of a dig at war, but it's also more of a dig at people being patriotic for the sake of it, blindly patriotic. This song appears in the finale of Friends, which is the first time Pearl Jam have ever licensed their song to be used in a television show.
Friends,
obviously not. Yeah. And Friends had a U2's. Was it With or Without You as well? And that was the first time U2 had ever given their music to a TV show. So Friends obviously having all the money in the world back then, like every bit of money.
And Hootie and the Blowfish. Remember they were in? There was an entire episode dedicated to Hootie and the Blowfish. I loved Friends at the time, but you would have to pay me insane money to sit down and watch a single episode of it right now.
I watch it all the time.
Do you? Can't do it.
Yeah. I'll say this: it's consistent every way through. Like it holds up a little bit. The weirdness of Friends holds up. Look, I'm not talking about Friends now. Anyway. Stick on a little bit of that now. Like Friends, I can take or leave. I do find it just absolute oxygen television. It's like breathing air to me. Just stick on. Nothing's changed in my life, but I'm still alive.
Right, I'm gonna play a bit of this Yellow Ledbetter. There we go.
Yeah, it is a great song, to be fair. Like, it's Pearl Jam do write so many like good songs that it makes sense that they will have good B-sides, and they have got a good few B-sides and rarities. That song in particular is played usually at the end of their gigs because it goes into a big sort of, what's the word?
Cool down solo.
Free form kind of thing where they can get away with elongating it, stretching it, fill the time, cut the time. And he'll sometimes sing different lyrics over the end of it and stuff like that. But it has a bit of a freebird, like,
yes,
stuff like that. The live performance was a B-side on Daughter, which is on the next album as well. It's probably one of the most popular B-sides I know in general. Not just it's definitely Pearl Jam's biggest B-side, but yeah, I like the song a lot. I do. Like I said, I love early Pearl Jam. After a while, I can sort of pick bits, like you said, make it the best of Pearl Jam from the later years after the first two albums. But that's all I have to say about Yellow Lead Bar. Because like we were just talking about before this, there isn't a massive amount of information on some of these pieces.
Very difficult to find. You'll find reference. You'll find reference to the single, and you'll find information about the A side, but you won't find fuck all about the B side. You probably have to go and like read the biography books and the behind the scenes books and stuff like that.
Yeah, and, a lot of these B sides and collections had them in the notes.
Yeah, they have never digitized the artwork for they only the front cover, which is insane. There should be an option in Spotify where you click it and you get to read the whole book.
Oh, I'd love that.
Yeah, it's silly that it's not there, and it wouldn't take much. Wouldn't take much.
No, it wouldn't at all. Especially for huge albums, like any huge album.
Yeah, exactly.
Just see the artwork that runs through them. Yeah,
exactly.
Man,
because even think about let's talk about the album we talk about every single week about OK Computer. So a couple of years ago, they bring out OK Not OK, which is like a kind of redigitized, remastered version of it with extra songs. I think it finally has Lift on there that everybody wanted. And if you buy that, there's like a little booklet that slides out of it that's got loads of bits of artwork and notes and lyrics, and there's loads of stuff in there that you'll actually learn about the record itself. And like that absolutely should be an option in Spotify, or at the very least have it digitized in text form, so you can read like who made it. Like it's because it's difficult to find even production notes on Spotify. I think they're in there somewhere, but it's hard to find them.
With the rise of physical media again, and people wanting to like see more than just a little square on the screen.
Yeah,
they should be in their
try and
best
keep up with
interest
it.
in doing it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Definitely.
Look, who's your next one?
Next one I think is probably one of the most famous great song B-sides of all time, and it's Oasis with the Master Plan. This is one of my favorite Oasis songs. I was never, after Master Plan came out, Noel started singing every fucking third song because people start going mad for Master Plan. Now, Master Plan was the B-side to Wonderwall originally. I didn't know that either. I didn't know that was the B-side.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was a later single.
So did I. Thought it was way later. I think the reason I thought that was because it came out, it was put in a compilation called The Master Plan. Like they really pushed it. That was, I think, late.
And that's probably one of the best B-sides albums I've ever heard.
Exactly. I think that was around 90. That was late 98 that Master Plan compilation came out, which is B-sides and not so much remixes. There's a couple of live versions on there, but it's mostly B-sides. Now, this is
made up for Be Here Now as well.
Exactly.
Album,
now, apparently, Noel Gallagher wrote and recorded this in 2 days. Like he wrote it on a Friday, recorded it on a Saturday, and because it was just him, he played everything on it apparently. And he played all the instruments, the whole shebang, sang, blah, 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 because there was no one else in the studio that day, just whatever, some assistant engineer or whatever the fuck it was. And so the lads came in on Monday and they were like, what you do the weekend? Because I wrote a few songs, and Alan McGee, who was running Creation Records, was like, listen, you do understand that, like for as I said earlier, every single you put out, because we're putting CDs out, you're going to have 3 B-sides. Like they can't all be live recordings or remixes. We have to have original material on every single that's coming out off these albums. So now I was like, Jesus Christ, like, so he was just pumping out songs every night. He'd go home and grab a guitar and just start banging out tracks, just in like the hopes he'd stumble upon something that was going to be an album track or something that was going to be a B-side. But he said, like, I never. One of the things he said, and he was wrong, is that he said, like, I never wrote a shite song. I was like, you definitely did, mate. 100%.
When did he say that though? Because at the time he had kind of
exactly, I think this is around 98, so he probably had a solid track. Well, he had a solid track record. I think.
Well, there's a few fucking stinkers on Be Here Now. So a girl in the dirty shirt, shite song. We brought that up before. I talked
about that before. Yeah, this song was also included on "Stop the Clocks," which is an EP they put out in 2006. So after Alan McGee told them they had to have three songs for every single on top of the A side. It was fucking panic stations. Like they just had to apparently they were pumping out songs that just didn't get the attention that they deserved. And Master Plan, he came back and said, like, that's probably the best song I ever wrote. And I'm going to make sure that everybody knows that's the best song I ever wrote. That's why it's on a bunch of different recordings and loads of different versions of it, because they had to pump out so many B-sides. The songs they knew were going to be B-sides, or the songs that they'd done on their own, never got the production credit that they deserved. They never got the time put into them. It was like some assistant engineer, or fucking they only had 2 hours to bang a rough recording together, whatever the fuck it was. I'm going to play a little bit of Master Plan here. Just like I said, I think this is probably my favorite Oasis song. It's just because it's not very Oasis-y, and
it's very Beatlesy.
Yeah, it's very Beatlesy, but it's got that kind of 3-chord trick kind of shithead thing that Oasis always had that was appealing at the time. It's not appealing anymore. Right, here we go.
And as they land upon the shore, tell them not to fear no more. Say it loud and sing it proud today. And then dance if you wanna dance. Please, brother, take a chance. You know they're gonna go which way they wanna go. The best of all the things that come our way. 'Cause everything that's been has passed. The answer's in the looking glass.
So it's Master Plan by Oasis. Pretty much, let's be honest, Noel Gallagher's fucking song. It's not really Oasis. It might as well fantastic. Be hi-fi and boards. It's really, really good. But it's interesting when you listen to it, because I probably paid more attention listening to this song on this playlist than any of them, because this one interests me because he wrote and recorded it in one day, and you can kind of hear it, even though it sounds good. Like,
and there's orchestral stuff obviously added afterwards.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, but even the orchestral stuff, when you listen to it, it's kind of uninspired. It's just.
It's very Beatles-esque, and it's very Beatles by numbers. So you do the stabs, and then you do the
French
horn
thing,
the descending notes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they do the quick swell to get up, from fucking the D to the A or whatever. No. It's, like I said, very Beatlesy. But even when you listen to like the electric guitar that's in the right channel, like it's just the basic fucking song chords being picked with a bit of delay and reverb on them. Like it's real. There's nothing mad to it. It's just a simple bog standard song that would work acoustically, or with all the big hullabaloo. There's even a bit where they do a bit of double tracking where he sings on top of himself the second half of the chorus, and it's not done very subtly either. It kind of jumps in. It's real weird, but again, that kind of adds to the fact that for me, this is one of the kings of the B-sides, and this song became incredibly popular. Like,
it's
incredibly
huge.
popular. And
like their Oasis B-side game around that era is monstrous.
Yeah, they had
incredible.
What's the song they used for the fucking royal family and all? Like that was a B-side as well, I think.
I don't know. I know. Oh yeah, that's.
I remember what the fuck that's called. There was a load of their B-sides that done really well, because I think they were.
Master Plan is brilliant. It's not even in my top 4 B-sides by Oasis.
Yeah,
and two of my favorite ones were on the same B-side.
There you go.
Talk Tonight and Acquiesce are my 2 favorites.
Acquiesce are amazing. I don't see a mad difference. Acquiesce is the one that was the royal family.
No, I don't think so.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it's Acquiesce. But Acquiesce and Master Plan aren't a million miles away from each other either. For me, it's a toss up between those two.
Acquiesce is the one that it's like the kind of more sped up rock song that the two of them sing. It's one of the only ones they both sing like call and response kind of bits. Liam sings the choruses, and I know the song you're talking about. Talk Tonight, it's not that one. It's like,
what's that? I'm gonna look it up now. Royal Family. Do it now live on the podcast. Royal Family.
Talk Tonight is just such an incredible song. that I was trying to fill in the space while you were doing that.
Half the World Away.
Half the World Away. Yeah, that's another
world. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's fucking.
I couldn't remember it. That's fine. I'm not mad about that song. I like Rockin' Chair as well. Another B-side. Jesus, they've got really, really strong B-sides.
Like I said, if they were made Pump Out 3 for every single, then you're dealing with a filthy amount of material there. Filthy amount of material they have to mess with. So it's going to be gold.
Is arguably their second best album. Next to What's the Story, Morning Glory, because it's probably better than definitely maybe. I don't know. No, it's the top three anyway. You just skip fucking Be Here Now, to be honest with you, and go straight to Master Plan.
There's a couple of bits and bobs on Be Here. Yeah,
there is. There's some great stuff on it. The single,
it's fucking in the bushes on that.
Yeah, no, that's on Standing.
Which
on
one's
the
that?
Giants.
Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. That's right. I was
like you said. After that, you're getting
together.
You're getting 2 good Oasis songs per album after that.
That were probably leftovers.
They were probably leftovers.
Yeah, I mean,
I say, I wish you could scrape some of that. Should have hit Master Plan and Acquiesce till now.
Imagine that those were their comeback songs. Jesus, hey.
Imagine you just remember. Like there's some songs like some bands remember a fucking song they used to play around and go,
oh yeah,
shit, we used to play around that and stick it out, and people are like, God, it's like early. It's like,
it is, and then they can't follow it up again. Yeah, exactly. So that, like I said, Master Plan came. It was the B-side, the Wonderwall. It came out on the Master Plan compilation. It was on Stop the Clocks, and when Master Plan compilation came out, apparently in Germany they released in Germany some record shops got like a bonus CD, which is like kind of a put together. Like a fake single for Master Plan that had an A-side and a B-side, had an album cut and a radio cut on it. And it was just like a bonus CD for buying the Master Plan compilation album. So it came, literally, I only had 2 songs on it, I believe. Like one album cut was side A and side B was meant to be this radio cut version of it. So that's the closest thing it ever got to being an actual single release, because I know that Noel was kind of pissed off that it never got its own single release because it got mixed up in that whirlwind of B-side creation.
Yeah.
Like he's gone on record saying like that's one of the, like, if not their best song, one of the best songs I've ever written ever. And it didn't even get its own release. Now it's popular, but it should have got a lot more attention. It should have been selling millions.
Kept it to himself then. It's his own fault for giving it to Alan McGee. Go out there. Look.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think he was just under pressure that the record label are shouting at them like we need, because how many singles did they put out off that first album? 4 or 5
per track.
You know what I mean?
Or singles. Oh yeah, singles
off that album.
I'm pretty sure definitely maybe had like 7.
Exactly. So imagine you've got the A sides and like at least 3 B sides for each single. Like that's a whole other album. Like.
Well, it did make for a really, like, one of the strongest B-sides albums going.
Definitely. Anyway, that was Oasis with Master Plan. Who's your next one?
The next one was hard to pick because it was between 2 bands. I knew that I had the rest of them already picked. I wanted to talk about. So I had these 2 bands, and I said to myself, right, which is the easier one to do? And I was like, both of these bands have 2 unreal B-sides. They've all got great. The 2 bands I'm talking about have great B-sides, but they both have 2, and so that doesn't help me at all. I was like thinking, right, what's the easiest one to do? And it was between the Smiths and Radiohead. The Smiths have Rubber Ring and Oscillate Wildly, and I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to pick between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Or I have to pick between Radiohead's Spectre and Talk Show Host.
Yeah.
So I went with Radiohead, even though we talk about Radiohead far too much. I just wanted to, because I fucking our podcast.
Because it wants to.
Because I want to. Yeah.
Why are you going to play that song so loud?
So it was hard to pick between. Then I had the dilemma of picking between Spectre and Talk Show Host, which are my 2 top. Like, they have a lot of great B-sides. Radiohead. Yeah. These are the 2 for me, and I decided to not go with Spectre because it was written to be an A-side. It was not even written to be an A-side as such. It was written to be the song from the movie, the James Bond movie Spectre, which it didn't win
which is mad.
The rights to, not the rights, it didn't win the favor of the people picking the song. They went with a rather unmemorable Sam Smith song, to be perfectly honest with you. It's fine. It's not a bad song. I'm not going to shit on Sam Smith. He's very good at what he does.
Yeah.
He's
no Adele.
He's no Adele. Yeah. Has Adele done a song? Surely she's done one, hasn't she?
I think so. Think so. Sounds like she has.
She probably has, yeah. I stopped caring about Bond songs after this, because this Spectre, not after this, after they did Spectre. It's one incredible song, but because of that, and because it was only released as a single on the B side of Burn the Witch, which is the first single off the. It also was given away as a digital single the year before that, so I'm like, that sort of technically makes it an A-side. Anyway, so I went with Talk Show Host because it's a straight up B-side. It's classic Radiohead, and it is what most people would consider to be their best B-side. It's one of the kind of weirder songs because the version we all heard was more than likely, if you didn't have Street Spirit single, which is it's the B-side of, if you didn't have the Street Spirit single from 96, then you've heard it on the Romeo and Juliet soundtrack, which I think is a different version, if I'm not mistaken. That's more of a Neely Hooper remix.
Yeah. So
Neely Hooper made it more Massive Attack-y and trip hoppy. So this version, I put the original version on, but the version that most people would have heard is that one that was on Romeo and Juliet, and it has that Neely Hooper stuff. There was also another remix to it called Black Dog Remix with different tempos and stuff like that. Yeah. But stick it on anyway. This is the original one without sort of a lot of the kind of cool electronic stuff, but it's still great.
All right.
To be someone else, so I'll explode. Floating upon the surface for the birds. The birds. The birds.
Really is prime for the trip hop remix, alright, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's already like on the way to that. I think they were going in that direction, like, just for that single. But then when Neely Hooper, obviously, who did a lot of stuff with Bjork and Massive Attack and stuff like that, got on it, and it really did take on it. It's slightly not completely different. It's just more. It sounds better, but I did want to go because this is the actual B-side that people heard. So if we're being purist about it, this is the one that I'm picking. So
that's the one.
They started to play an extended version that people went mad for in 2016 onwards with the live touring for Moonshade Pool stuff. And it also appeared on one of the CDs on the 2008 compilation, The Best of Radiohead, which Radiohead absolutely hate and despise and had absolutely nothing to do with, because I don't think they're not a great... The way they look at it as, that made them look awful.
Yeah,
because they think that when you have a best of, it's the beginning of your decline as a creative force. But they also said that if we had have even been brought in on it, we would have done it totally different. The fans might have actually liked it a lot more. That's not for Radiohead fans, really. I mean, Radiohead are a albums band, and it's called the best of. Don't call it that. Call it something cool like they would. I don't know. But so that's Talk Show Host. It's one of the best Radiohead songs, and it's a B-side. So who have you got next?
My next one is Susie and the Banshees with Voices.
All right.
And this was the B-side, the Hong Kong Garden in 1978, which is just a single. Now, album malarkey is just one of these kind of first release type of things, just to test the water, as what happened with a lot of bands back in the late 70s and early 80s, where they didn't launch with an album, they launched with 2 or 3 singles just to see that the record label
test the waters.
Exactly. So the record label would say, look, we're going to give you $1,000 to record a single, and we'll see how it sells or whatever. So this is the B-side. You won't find the Hong Kong Garden. You'll find on compilations and stuff like that. And this song "Voices" is fucking insane. I before we even talk any more about it, I want to play it just so people hear,
Sure.
because it's batshit mad. It's really
I think I know
cool.
the song. I think I know. I probably don't actually.
It's really cool. It's 5.5 minutes long. It doesn't really go anywhere, but it's got loads of cool shit in it. Right, here we go.
That's why it's a B-side.
Exactly.
And I'm hearing the whispers from my window, and I'm hearing something scratching on the inside. Could I feel the sea beckoning me? Oh, could it be? Can I
Voices by Susie and the Banshees. It's really weird and really dissonant. It's like this is like pre kind of poppy goth, pre fucking post punk. I don't know what this is. It's almost art rock to me. Like it's you definitely have to listen to the whole thing as a whole. I can't impress upon you how interesting that song is in a minute of playing it. It's 5.5 minutes long. It takes a minute or so to even get anywhere. You know what I mean?
Well, that's like you're saying. This is what the artistic freedom of the B-side.
Yeah, 100% was exactly what they're trying to do all the time. Like, especially someone like Susie and the Banshees would have been. I don't know whether they would have even had their feet underneath them in 1978. You know what I mean? Like Hong Kong Garden sounds like they're getting there. You know what I mean? But like, talking about a band that not necessarily changed styles, but always kept adding stuff on all the time, and then to hear something like that song Voices, where there's just an electric guitar, that's weird. Like that it sounds like it's almost out of tune, and it's recorded in the next room, just very very loud. And then they've got this lovely kind of pre-verb, like this pre-reverb on her voice at the chorus that adds to this real kind of fucking ghostly chant that runs through it. Like it's so simple, there's nothing to it, but I'd say seeing something like that live would be monumental, to be honest with you, because it's so simple, so stripped down that there's nothing to it. And I think if they were to start adding in like basses and drums and fucking keyboards, it just wouldn't work. There's something about that off timing of that weird little guitar riff, where he's like only playing like 10% of the notes that there should be in that riff, and then her just droning along. I don't know. I'm not a big noise guy or kind of art rock guy, but there's something about that song I really, really like. But like I said, that was 1978. It was the B-side, the Hong Kong Garden. Eventually, they put it on a compilation called Downside Up, which is a 4-disc set that collected all their B-sides and bonus materials and remixes and all that kind of malarkey. That came out in 2004, I think that came out. Yeah. I think that's kind of hard to get now as well.
I love the early stuff, or the early guitar work on Susie and the Banshees.
Yeah,
it's
very strange.
Might be John McKay. I don't know, but yeah, it's just they've always had great guitarists.
Yeah, it's just so fucking weird. Like
the guy from the next band is one of their guitarists.
Oh, there you go. Let's move on to that then. So yeah, Susie and the Banshees Voices. You'll find that compilation Downside Up is hard to find, I think, in the physical world. But of course, there it is, looking at you on Spotify, so you get to listen to the whole thing for whatever the fuck they charge. Was it $11.99 a month now or something? It wasn't $9.99. I think it's gone up.
Spotify's gone up, is it?
I think it's gone up, yeah. Then Netflix has gone up as well. Yeah, they're all going up. Of course, nobody has any money, but they need entertainment. So throw €1 on it. Bastards.
But Spotify bastards. Surely haven't lost any money.
Well, it doesn't cost them anything, does it, cunts? I think there's only about 20 people working for Spotify anyway. Scum. I'm telling you, I'm not even lying.
Give the next song a lash before I go into it, actually.
Oh, here we go. Lament.
Yeah, that was Lament by The Cure, another band with an incredibly strong B-side game. This isn't my favourite B-side by The Cure, but the one I wanted wasn't on Spotify, even though the album is, the B-sides and rarities collection, the 4-disc job, is on it, but it's missing some tracks because presumably some sort of
licensing or something.
Licensing, yeah.
Bastards.
So a good few of the B-sides are missing. This Twilight Garden, the B-side from High, is as good as any Cure song I know. But I have to say, Lament is probably my second favourite. It's up there. This isn't the first ever version of it, though. The first ever version of it was released with as a flexi disc from on the cover of that magazine, Flexi Pop.
Oh yeah,
which you probably know a lot more about that than me. It's really thin. As a result, it sounded like absolute garbage. To be honest with you,
if you're our age, you probably remember them. You probably remember them being attached to the boxes of Frosties cereal. They done like Survivor, Eye of the Tiger, and that type of shit. And you cut them out of the back of the cereal. Yeah, and you cut them off the back of the cereal packet, and you could play them on your Manda stereo or whatever. They were attached to cardboard, so they were like 10 times more sturdy than the actual like flexi discs themselves.
Yeah.
So as far as the history of flexi discs is really interesting. It comes from Soviet Russia, I believe, or at least Eastern Bloc countries, where they were still mad for music, but they couldn't get hold of the vinyl plastic for actual pressing records, so they ended up using X-rays. They would get old X-rays out of hospitals, and they'd put those into the machines and stamp them instead of stamping what they'd call like a puck. So if you've ever seen any documentaries or even like little gifs of records being made, it goes in as this hockey puck size kind of black thing, and they squish it down, and what above that is like a negative image of the record, usually made out of metal, and that stamps the music into the plastic, and that's where your music comes from. So what they would do is they couldn't afford these pucks of plastic, so they'd literally just get sheets of kind of acetate that you get X-rays and stuff like that on, and they put them into the machine, stamp them down, and they'd cut that kind of cut enough to be able to hear the music, but obviously had no real depth to it, so you were only getting like the skin of the music. It sounded like fucking garbage, but they were a gimmick, and they're highly collectible. Like I have a couple of Beatles ones and stuff like that. Loads of record labels kind of copped onto it in the early days, so a lot of bands from the 60s up would have been mad for pumping out flexi discs. It was like this almost act of rebellion by bands to put like a song they put a lot of work into, but knew it was going to sound like shite, but it was going to look cool as fuck.
Well, just as an example, actually, do you know what? If you click into the album there itself to join the dots, the Lament flexi disc is one of the first ones. Number 9 there.
Yeah,
so let people have a listen
to
magazine
cover.
Yeah, just the reason I didn't. The reason, first of all, the one I chose was the actual B-side. This was it'd be a few months before as things. Give it a bash there so people can hear how. And this is after being mastered. So
yeah, that's where we went from the start there, didn't we? Yeah. So let's throw this up and have a listen.
It's harsh on the ears, to be fair.
Yeah, there'll be no botman in it whatsoever.
There you go.
Wow.
And there's a drum machine being the difference, I suppose, as well. When the guitars come in, it does sound bad, like
Tin Missile, I think, or a recorder.
That's a recorder, I'd say. Yeah. Now it's not the one we played is a different recording of the song.
Oh yeah, definitely. Interesting though, because there's no bottom in it end at all.
No,
or mid.
And that's that. It's too harsh.
Yeah, it's very wow.
Like, I knocked it off now. It's just an example of like that's the
very cool,
that's the flexi disc version, and the one we played was a re-recorded one, and it appeared as the B-side to Walk. Yeah,
Walk.
The standalone. Walk is a standalone single that appeared on other compilations, stuff like that, in 1983, which leads me to believe that Lament is a possible trimming from the Pornography album from 1982.
Maybe,
it sounds like that. Like the first time I heard Lament, I wasn't mad about knowing which Cure album was which when I was listening to Joint. That's the first time. Yeah. But when I heard this again recently, I was like, geez, I wonder if I could put my finger on exactly when that was out. I think to be fair, it's almost chronological. Join the Dots is, so you can almost guess it from where it is on the album.
That's really cool that they included that. That's real cool. I don't know of anyone else that's included any of their flexies in comps.
Oh yeah, we see. The problem is like a lot of people, about 50-50, prefer that version. So
interesting.
A lot of people, like when you look at people talking about this, you'll see people going, "I much prefer the flex."
Well, maybe that OG Cure heads. That's what they heard first.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it does have that. If you're a big fan of the pornography era Cure, this song is for you because it's definitely written around then. It was released a year after, so I presume it was from that period where it was nice and bleak and full of reverb. Yeah. That was Join the Dots, or Join the Dots. Off Join the Dots. That was Lament anyway.
Savage. Your next one is I think the only hip hop on the playlist, which is weird because hip hop kind of has a history of B-sides, but it has a history of remix B-sides, which I didn't want to get into, to be honest. Because I'm not going to lie to you, there's a bunch of remixes that I prefer more than the originals. Like even go back to someone we were talking about a while ago, actually last Saturday on the live show, we were talking about Ice-T, I think.
That was a great song you played with him.
Great song, yeah. That was off the third Body Count album, Violent Demise, which is sorely unappreciated. Like it's the last great classic lineup Body Count song. But Ice-T put out one of his singles called That's How I'm Living, and the original is okay, it's fine, but there's a fucking savage remix of That's How I'm Living on the 12-inch single. Also, like hip hop 7 inches are hen's teeth, very rare. They're just not a thing. You got an awful lot. You probably got more hip hop singles than any other genre of music put out, but they're all on 12-inch. And that was for DJs to scratch with and do remixes and stuff like that. So when you do find 7 inches, it's weird. You really only find 7 inches off kind of pop hip hop artists. That kids had £1 spare, so they'd buy a 7-inch. Well, a 12-inch was probably £3, and they weren't going to buy that. So the record label were being smart, trying to appeal to kids. So you would have got like MC Hammer 7 inches and Vanilla Ice 7 inches. But like real hip hop, very difficult. I only know of a couple of hip hop artists that put out 7 inches. Actually, Ice-T is one of them. I think he's done it for the Crack on the second album. But this song, Robin Hood by Ice Cube. Okay, I need help here off the people listening, because I cannot find what the A-side to this was, right? Now, this is off a record called Bootlegs and B-Sides. And Bootlegs and B-Sides is a collection of remixes and B-Sides. And this is not a remix, so it has to be a B-side. Now, I went rooting like a bastard this week. I was on Discogs. I went through every single release I could find by Ice Cube. I went on to Discogs to see like if there was different. Was there like German presses? Was there fucking
it's mad, isn't it? I had to do that with my next song as well. I was like,
I just couldn't find it.
Yeah,
it's crazy, and I could not find at all what the A-side was for this. Now, what I do know is that everything from this album, this collection, Bootlegs and B-Sides, this album was released in 1994. Everything was recorded between 1992 and 1994. So everything's done in a 2-year period. And it sounds an awful lot like the stuff on Lethal Injection. It sounds like that to me. So I have a feeling that it has to have been on a release of Lethal Injection. I'm going to play it just for anybody who's like a kind of a hip hop head. You'll know this era of Ice Cube. This is angry Ice Cube. This is before fucking whatever, the one where he has a lot of kids in a car and he's pretending to be Santi, and before Triple X2 and whatever the fuck, before he was an actor. Would have been just before like Friday, but I can almost forgive him Friday because he wrote it himself and all that kind of shit. It was his project. I like Friday a lot. I like the first two a lot. They're fun because they're stupid. The first one in particular is very, very funny. Right, I'm going to play a bit of this because I want people to hear what old Ice Cube sound like.
At a stop sign, I take a hit and hold it in. I caught. Now I'm off, driving down the 2-lane highway. It's all bad, thinking about shit I never had. Pass through the WS neighborhood, knowing I could do my best in Westwood. Cut off by a white BM, driven by a yuppie. He sticks up his finger like fuck me. Now I got to follow him home with my chrome. Send him to the twilight zone. It's on. Niggas say I'm gone cause I'm fucking with the rich. But they all full of bitch. Don't need
a snitch. So I'm rolling solo in a straight bucket. No, it ain't a low. He pulls up to a 7-bedroom, 8-bath. Oh yeah, he's got the filter rap, pistol up to the neck, devil turned off the West Tech. And when you're rolling, have more respect. Tied his ass up and took everything I could. A nigga straight robbing, mobbing, back to
all
the
my
hood.
niggas love the adventures of. All my niggas love the adventures of. All my niggas love the adventures of Robin Hood, 'cause it ain't no good. All my niggas love the adventures of. All my niggas love the adventures of. All my niggas love the adventures of Robin Hood, 'cause it ain't no good.
Since 211 is my favorite number. Fuck squabbing, and I be robbing like the bull.
That's Robin
So that
Hood by
sounds like-
Ice Cube. Yeah.
That sounds like one of his classic songs with the music inverted.
Yeah, yeah, kind of.
You know what I mean? Like someone just took like one of his classics. It has all the feel of it, but
Yeah.
the notes are like going the opposite directions.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Instead of going down, they're
Instead
going
of
up.
going doo-doo, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
mad.
That was produced by a production group called 88X Unit, and they done a lot of stuff for Lethal Injection. They done a lot of stuff in general, but they done a lot of stuff on Lethal Injection as well. So that adds another. It's another tick in the box of this is not necessarily leftover from Lethal Injection, but it could have been maybe the B-side to a promo that there was only a couple of them gone out. I'd love to know if somebody knows if there's some sort of kind of 90s hip-hop aficionado out there or Ice Cube aficionado, and I know there's plenty of them that they follow him, win, lose or draw, they love Ice Cube, and I want to know if somebody can figure out what this was off as well, because I think it's fucking great, and there's loads of great stuff on bootlegs and B-sides. There's a lot of great remixes. Like I said, the hip-hop thrives and is born in the idea of hip-hop remixes. So there's definitely some
hip hop has all different rules.
yes, a
Like,
whole
when it
different
comes to
set. Yeah,
mixtapes, B-sides,
yeah.
samples. It just has its own set of rules.
Yeah, it's its own
crazy.
world, and it doesn't really. It's not applicable to any other genre. That's
And the reason that I think it's like that is because it was always dictated by the market completely, rather than having
yes.
record labels telling people what it should be and how.
Yeah, the record
how it
labels
should
came
sound.
second. They came
Yes.
after the fact, which is
Yeah.
very strange. Like it's one of the most
which is
one of the more recent genres when you think about it. Like
Which is why mixtapes are actually a thing in hip hop.
Yeah.
Like the label, we thinking, oh god, no, it sounds bad. It doesn't sound great. We can't get the licensing for all these samples either. They're just like, yeah, but like people hold. If you ever look at people talking about artists, they go, when you're talking, you look at the list of their favorite albums. There's mixtapes in there, and you can't buy them. Like
No.
you can't get them
you
somewhere.
can only buy official mixtapes, which are
Yeah.
I mean, like there's an ODB official mixtape called Osiris, and where they got
But
the
you know what I
clearance
mean?
for all the
Yeah,
samples, but it's very rare.
They're very much for the people, and they can do
Oh,
what they want on them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
banged out for free or sold out the back of vans. You know what I mean? Like that's what they were
So
for.
like you're saying, remixes are the same thing. The remix is a much different thing in
Very
hip hop.
much,
It can
yeah.
usually be the version you know.
Exactly, because like when we were first talking about doing B-sides, the first thing I thought about was, like as you said, we're kind of alt rock fucking kids. We grew up listening to them mostly, you know, or that would have been the lion's share of what we listened to.
B-sides, definitely. Like, I don't know any hip hop B-sides. If I'm being perfectly honest.
I know a few because
Yeah.
that was alongside kind of rock and metal. Hip hop was always there for me. It was like my dirty secret. My mates weren't into it,
Yeah.
but I always loved it. So I never really had anybody to talk to about it. So a lot of the information kind of went in one ear and out the other. But I always remember Pitch Shifter, the group Pitch Shifter, were just doing remixes for fucking everyone. Every second kind
That's
of metal or alt rock or hard rock band that released a single, there was a motherfucking Pitch Shifter remix on it, to
That
the
was
point
mad.
where even they done every single I think of Therapy Trouble Gum had a Pitch Shifter remix on it, and I got to the point where they released Therapy versus Pitch Shifter, like the EP or something. Like I have it downstairs on vinyl, and it's I think it's them messing with each other's songs or something.
I think I remember, like at the time, mates I knew that were banned the Pitch Shifter going, I wish they'd hurry the fuck up and release some Pitch Shifter.
Yeah, they were doing the too many DJs thing, where it's just no, all these labels love it, and they're just fucking bombarding us with shit here to mess with.
Mad money though, to be fair. Probably.
Of course, I mean, especially you're like an electronic group that can work out of a fucking bedroom or whatever. you know, with a converted shed. Stuff made in a shed, it sounds the same as stuff made in a big fucking studio. When
You're right, though. There is a mental amount of remixes by Pitch Shifter.
Yeah, they were insane for it. That's when we first started talking about this. I was like, how am I going to work in Pitch Shifter? And I thought, I'm not going to pick a song. I'm just going to talk about it and hope that people that were listening to music in the early mid 90s, hopefully they remember that as well. I'm not alone. But yeah, that was Robin Hood. And like I said, I need people's help to find out what that A side was for me. Who's your next one?
Yeah, if my next one is if the B stood for anything, it would be Bridesmaid with this song, because it is Aneurysm by Nirvana, and the B side, The Smells Like Teen Spirit, was either going to be completely overshadowed or dragged into the light. And I think it sort of did both. It got dragged into the light, but overshadowed at the same time, because if you're the B side, The Smells Like Teen Spirit, you don't even have to be that good, but when you are, it still doesn't really matter. And Aneurysm is one of Nirvana's best songs. I think
super.
It's just absolutely incredible. And it, like I've already mentioned, it is the B-side, It Smells Like Teen Spirit. It made itself known on an album more so on the Incesticide compilation from 93, which is probably the first time I heard it. I don't know if I ever had The Smells Like Teen Spirit.
I didn't. It was 1992, was it?
One.
No, yeah, there's no fucking way.
I didn't. It was, though, Aneurysm was a regular part of their set, so it's just might as well have been a. Do you know what? Actually, I don't think it really would have suited. It wouldn't have suited Nevermind at all. So it would have came out. Obviously, it was written between Nevermind and Bleach. I think it fits on Bleach way more. This song. It's a banging Bleach off this.
I
song.
love Bleach. The
Really
bits.
is. Yeah. So you could really tack a lot of songs off Incesticide onto Bleach, but Nevermind is its own beast altogether.
Yeah.
In fact, you could probably sooner stick Aneurysm on In Utero than you could.
Yeah, that's kind of that's what I more think of it as.
Back to that feel, yeah. So this was according to the Cobain biography, Heavier Than Heaven by Charles Cross, Aneurysm was the first of 6 songs written by Kurt Cobain following his breakup with Toby Vile from Bikini Kill. Bikini Kill, isn't it? The Riot Girl band from Seattle. And at the time, he was trying to write songs to get her attention to win her back. Whereas later, after he knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, he started writing songs like Drain You that were really like, oh, fuck this. You know what I mean? Like, it's over. So he was completely fucked up at the time when he wrote this. And actually, an interesting thing about the other Riot Girl, Toby Vile's mate, Kathleen Hanna, wrote, spray painted Kurt Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's the famous line. She wrote it on his bedroom wall in spray paint. Because
wasn't that was deodorant or something?
It was Toby Vile's deodorant. So whatever, maybe Kurt had some on, or just through the process of being beside her smelled like that. And so Smells Like Teen Spirit, that's where that came from. And that's where that song title comes from. And obviously the Aneurysm song had all the anger of sort of a breakup. Yeah. Beat me out of me. Lash it on there anyway for four people that maybe not know that.
Hit it here now.
This is just so you know, this is the actual B-side version, not the one you hear on Incesticide. So that's re-recorded on Incesticide.
was singing along with that there.
Yeah, it's great. There's
So
a slightly more rougher version. The one that
Yeah.
was actually on Smell the Teen Spirit. I still do because I just love good production. I still do prefer the one opposite. So just slightly.
Yeah, me too.
Still all the same anger, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's good to play the actual, like the same way talk show host. I'm not playing the remix or the re-record.
Yeah.
Even though I did do that with The Cure. No, actually, I played the actual B-side version. So there we go.
Yeah.
So look, aneurysm. It's up there again.
Super. I was only thinking about this maybe a week or two ago. Are there any bad Nirvana songs?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I've never heard of. I've heard of songs that I'm not hugely mad about,
But they're not bad.
no.
Like there's songs on some albums I go, oh, the songs that I can't listen to anymore. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I can't listen to Come As You Are anymore. That would be shit. I'm like, no.
Yeah. But if you heard it for the first time now, you'd be like, holy
shit. Yeah,
killing
exactly.
joke. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They've 3 of the best albums of all time.
Yes.
Their B-sides, like the Incesticide is a great album, and their live album from the Muddy Waters.
Yes.
is brilliant as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bad release.
No,
I don't think there's a
I
bad
don't
song.
think. And even then, do you know what now? I haven't really delved into the kind of lost songs that were released around the same time as You Know You're Right. But I remember the first time hearing You Know You're Right and going, fucking, that's another banger.
Yeah.
And like I heard that after.
From the grave, another banger, like.
Yeah. And
it's amazing when it happens.
so I haven't really broken into too much of that, but no, they were all great. Like
I found the big giant Kurt Cobain book the other day. I was getting up. I got up into my parents' attic. I was pulling out toys and comics for this YouTube project thing I'm doing, and I found this big like tub full of books, and I've got all these bleeding like big coffee table books about Kurt Cobain and John Lennon and all that I don't remember buying. I was like, where the fuck did they come from? Because I'm a prick for buying them. I have tons of those coffee table books about bands. I'm forever buying them if I see them at a good price. Like I've got Queen ones and ones about the Who and old punk rock ones. I've tons of them, but I didn't know I had these kind of Nirvana ones and Kurt Cobain ones and John Lennon ones and shit. And I must have read them. I must have, because they look like they're in bits.
I didn't. I don't read books.
I
honestly wish I could.
Every day.
Yeah,
can't
like
help
you know those memes where like you've read the last 15 sentence or the last sentence 15, 16 times.
Yeah,
that's me. My brain is constantly screaming and going off in other directions. Or
I find it hard.
I'm starting to think about what they wear too much.
Yeah.
Oh, he was wearing a velvet purple. I'm like, oh, that's mad. I wonder what the things.
Yeah, I get like that sometimes when my brain wanders off the shit that like I'm supposed to do tomorrow. I mostly read at night, and so I'll be in bed and I'm gonna read for an hour now before I go to bed, before I fall asleep or whatever. And some nights I just lock into it, and I might as well be living in that book. And like
that's
the house,
right. I wish I could do that.
The house could burn down around me and I wouldn't hear or feel anything. But some nights I'm like fucking like, what's that noise outside? Or like, oh man, you were a sap today when you fell in Tesco, weren't you? Like that type of shit. You know what I mean?
That's me. That's my brain constantly. It's like a big carnival made of polystyrene on fire. That's my brain. So that's look, that's one of the biggest B-sides of all time.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It's absolutely phenomenal. It's also one of the only, if not the only, Nirvana song where all 3 members had a hand in writing it.
Oh,
normally
very cool.
Just Kurt or Dave growling a couple. But look, that's that anyway. What is your last? Who's your last one?
My last one is one that you're going to fucking love. It's a band you love. You fucking love them. So you do. No, it's No Effects with a song called.
No Effects are one of the bands I do.
All right, good.
Weirdly,
so this,
they're them and the Descendants. I often mention as my only exceptions.
Really. I can't really do. I can't do like super early No Effects because it's too garbagey. It's too smoked beer, you know what I mean?
That's right. They got better when they started talking about politics.
Yeah, they got a bit political, a bit serious, and they start writing songs about how depressed they were and how they were trying to kill themselves with drink and drugs. And I was like, now I'm into it. Now I can. This is real. You know what I mean? Because the early stuff, like I said, pure smoked beer shit. I can't do it. You know, going to the rock show and let's drink a 40 in the car on the way there, and I can't do it. I just can't do it. It's torture. So when NoFX kind of get a little bit serious, like as far as I'm concerned, NoFX writes some of the greatest melodies in music. It's just overshadowed by the fact that they look like saps, and most of their fans are absolute gobshites. Like there's a hidden darkness in NoFX that very rarely comes to the forefront. And most people who are NoFX fans that buy NoFX albums will skip the songs that are a little bit fucking more serious. So like, now, skip to the bit where you're talking about, you know, skateboarding over George Bush's face or whatever, that bullshit. You know what I mean? But what they don't seem to understand is that, like, NoFX have been a band since, I think, like, the fucking mid-80s. Like, these lads, when they kind of got popular in the 90s, were already old. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't kids. They were playing in the kids' sandcastles, like in the sand pit.
Be careful of those grown-up punks, man. They're still hanging around.
Yeah, exactly. So, like these cunts, by the time kind of the 90s ran around, they were doing their best to not be serious. But by the late 90s, they were like, fuck this, we can't be talking about smoking bongs while skateboarding anymore. Like they're giving interviews saying, like, I've never even owned a skateboard. Let's just lying for 20 years. You know what I mean? That type of shit. So they start getting kind of serious. Now, this song, Lower, is off a compilation. The compilation has a real long name, and it's kind of funny in a NoFX way. It's funny on the skin of it and stupid underneath it. And the album is called 45 or 46 Songs That Weren't Good Enough to go on our other albums, is the name of the album. 45 or 46 songs that weren't good enough to go on other albums. Now, where it's funny is that there's 47 songs on the album. And so straight away, it's just stupid. And also, it was a double album, right? Yeah. And another stupid thing was that the 47 songs that were on this album, called 45 or 46 Songs, would have easily fit on a single CD. Like, they're just taking the piss. That's all it was. So there's a load of garbage on here that's like demos and, you know, stuff that sounds like it was recorded in a fucking swimming pool, you know, that type of shit.
I always think they should stick that at the very start of the album, like the
chronologically.
Yeah, like a lot of bands put their kind of chronologically helps with the production aspect of it. Like,
oh, definitely, yeah. You go on a journey with them.
Black Sabbath and Stone Roses have done that before.
Misfits done it as well, but Coffin
Box, stuff goes to the top, so you can kind of, if you really want to skip the harshly recorded stuff, it gets progressively better. Yeah, I guess
definitely. Like, Misfits done it. If you buy a Coffin Box, which is like a 4 CD or maybe 6 CD box set of pretty much everything the Misfits ever released, including all like the doubles, because in some cases like 6 versions of Horror Business or something, you know. But like the very first song on Coffin Box is the first ever credited Misfits song, and it doesn't even have guitar in it. It's Glenn Danzig with a Hammond organ singing she came out. Like, it's just the drums and a Hammond organ. That was the Misfits at the start. Yeah, exactly. So this song, Lower, it was recorded around the time of the album Pump Up the Volume, which would have been the year 2000. So this would have been when they were starting to get a little bit darker and a little bit more introspective about what was going on in their lives. I'm going to play it.
Subversive as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to play a bit of it here. It's interesting. I'm going to play it from the start. I'm going to play like a minute and a half of it.
Behind. your step, 'cause it's a nasty fall when there's no one to catch you when you call.
Lower by No Effects. It's I mean, like I said, when they were starting to experiment with the idea that like Fat Mike is a fucking drunken, drug-addled mess who's fucking trying to kill himself all the time, as opposed to trying to be the happy-go-lucky skateboard punk fucking clown shoe gobshite, you know what I mean? This, like I said, this is originally recorded for their album Pump Up the Volume, and what NoFX have this habit of, they record a bunch of songs and then they'll announce the album and the track listing, and then when the album comes out, there's like 6 songs missing off what they announced. They're cunts for that, and they do that. Right. They kind of try and annoy people a little bit, I think, by announcing what the track listing is. There's 17 songs in this album, and you buy it, and there's 12. So what they tend to do is they release like little singles on their like via their website and their fan club and shit like that to try and keep that kind of thing alive, because obviously NoFX own the record label Fat Records, which put out a bajillion fucking albums over the years. So they have their access to their own pressing plants and printers, so they can do whatever they want all the time. And so you'll get, I think they do maybe a new 7-inch every like 2 months or something like that since like 1992. Something insane. So you're looking at like thousands of singles and mini EPs and shit like that. So Lower was on one of those. It was a B-side to some fucking fan club Bleeding Yoke, but it was originally supposed to be on Pump Up the Volume. They included it on an EP, I think it was 2006 or something like that. It came out called Bottles to the Ground, which is a 4-track EP, but it's
That's
not
a great
really
song, actually.
Yeah, Bottles to the Ground is a great song, but it's not. That EP isn't really an EP. It's like it's pretty much a single. Like the main track is Bottles to the Ground, and then there's a lot of other songs on it.
That song is like 2 minutes long. So surely 4 NoFX songs does not make an EP. That
exactly
makes up to, fucking 9 minutes max?
Exactly. Now, NoFX, we were talking earlier about those flexi discs, the kind of floppy 7 inches that you could buy. Yeah. There's another style of 7-inch. There's a couple of styles of 7 inches. Most of them are forgotten by the bog standard 7-inch now. You'll see there's a thing called a Super 7, and a Super 7 is essentially, it's like a highly compacted 7-inch that runs at 33 RPM as opposed to 45, and it means you're able to get an extra chunk of music on each side. So they're bastards for putting out little tiny EPs and singles that have like 5-6 songs on them, because they can fit 3 per side using this Super 7 format. You know, it's interesting. Yeah. You don't see the Super 7 that often, but they really like it and do it. They do it an awful lot. They'll put out like 10 inches that run at 33 as well, which is unusual. Most of them are 45. They're always trying to kind of mess with the formats a little bit. Like they put out a compilation about 10 years ago of, it was a 10-inch. I think it had 10 cover songs, 5 per side, but there was no track listing at all. Like, it just said NoFX on the front of it, and that was it. And
so you just have to guess what covers it.
You just have to listen to it and hope you know enough about music that they fucking picked songs that you know.
But it's a good thing. It's a good thing Morrissey never did that, because I wouldn't have known a single song that
he's a bastard for it. He's an absolute bastard for it.
Here's a song by Doris Day that she released when she wasn't even called Doris Day, and it was a B-side as well. All right, thanks, Morrissey.
Exactly, when she was Mary Lou.
I'll be able to relate to that very much so.
Exactly. Yeah. Going for it. There's usually one song on those little collections that he puts out that maybe you'll know. Maybe.
That's the thing about covers, man. If someone covers a song and I don't know the original, I feel like...
Why would you give a shy? Like,
I don't really care.
It'd have to be a banger. Put it that way.
I can't reference it towards... It's not a cover for me anymore. It's just another song. And
it has to be a killer. Like, an absolute killer of a song. It really does. Cool. Anyway, that was NoFX with Lower, off the collection of B-sides and kind of unreleased songs called 45 or 46 songs that weren't good enough to go on our other albums. That actually has 47 songs on it. Cheeky. They're cheeky, them lads. Who was your last one?
Well, the last few B-sides I've picked have been from the purple patches of those bands. I really feel like Radiohead going from the Bends into OK Computer was arguably the best time. The Cure around the pornography area is my favorite. Yeah. Nirvana, I have a short lifespan, but any time around them is grand. So this next song, Starlet by Smashing Pumpkins, is from a really great period as well. It's between Gish and this Siamese Dream, and it was written because, like I mentioned earlier, Billy Corgan was told, "Oh, you're releasing this in England. You need to add another song onto." I think this is from the B-side from "I Am One," which is off the Gish album. Which I think Gish is really, really good, but I'd never listened to it. I never really want to.
I listen to it every couple of months.
To it. It's too much guitar wankery going on because he's trying to impress his dad, who's a deadly guitarist. Like, that's great now, and it's got James Iha fucking whittling away there as well. It's grand, like, it's fine, but this is mad. So this was written after Gish was finished, I guess, you know. So they said he said in an interview, watching the interview, it was when he was playing some of his acoustic songs, and he played Starlet. Now, he didn't play all of it because Starlet, this song is 11 minutes long. We're not going to play all that, obviously. But he said, they had to throw it together in I think it was half written, but they went in, finished it, and recorded it all in the space of 12 or 13 hours. And what you get is a kind of, could only really be a B-side. It's a jam session by the end of it. Sort of, not really, but it's one of those long songs, much like Yellow Ledbetter as well. But it's mad because he said that he's very surprised to hear the fans saying, "Why is this not on Siamese Dream?" And he said, like, do you know what? I remember distinctly, like, getting there, and it's a really memorable song for us because we bashed it out in his deli, but he never felt it was strong enough to put on Siamese Dream. So the great thing about this song is, it is like, it's not really a B-side off Gish, because it is though. It's off a song off Gish. So, but this really feels like a nice little extra bit of Siamese Dream. So if anyone's listening, they have never heard Starlet, here's a little treat, 11-minute treat for you. That is an extra bit of what I consider Siamese Dream. So give it a little bash there. I love it. It has that fucking guitar tone.
To disappear, take some more time, starling dear, you're in my mind. Soon, I'll be leaving. Soon, I'll be leaving. I hear all you're saying. I hear all you're feeling.
Yeah, that's obviously only a small snippet of the 11 minutes, but that is a nice little slice of extra Siamese Dream, or even extra Gish, if you want to look at it like that. But I really feel like, because I think that they were already in the process of starting on the feel for Siamese Dream when they wrote that. That's why he mentions it. We know why it wasn't on Gish, because it was written after. But when he's talking about, like, they were already in the midst of writing Siamese Dream when this was out, and it was thrown on as a B-side. I think it's on a B-side to M1. And of course, it appears on Pisces Iscariot, which is decent. It's decent. It's got some stuff on it I'm not mad about. But to be honest with you, for a band that are now currently struggling to write
there's a lot on it. There's a double 14 on one side and 17 on the other. There's an awful lot of stuff.
Well, that's just the first side is what it normally was. The next version has both. But this is from a really great period in their lives. They have another fantastic song as well, called a B-side called Speed Kills. I think that was from Stand Inside Your Love. It was around the Machine era anyway. And they have that other brilliant song from Lost Highway that I played on the radio.
That's right, yeah.
They have some great stuff now. They are struggling. Actually, their new album or their EP / album is out now. I'm gonna give it a listen. I really wasn't a fan of the last. We talked about a couple of weeks ago on the Don't You Forget About Me episode where like, bands were struggling to some bands were struggling. These guys are struggling now to get that kind of stuff out. But I think they're going the right direction anyway, sort of. That last single, Ramona, it's not great, but it's definitely in better direction than some of the other stuff. So yeah. I have a goo on me now for Smashing Pumpkins, but I'm not getting it from the new stuff, so I have to dig a little bit deeper and deeper and deeper every now and then. I always remember that this was a great song off Pisces Iscariot, and it is, it's one of my favorite B-sides of all time, I think. So that's it. 11 minutes of that. That's the lot. That's our B. Well, it's definitely this is definitely a volume 1 job.
Oh yeah, 100%. You could do this forever, as long as Spotify allows us to find these B-sides. Because I tell you exactly what I was going to do is, I have thousands of 7-inches that I've just been collecting my whole life, and what I was going to do is I was just going to grab like 100 of them and flick through and pull out a couple that I liked the A sides, and then see what the B was, and see if that was going to be an interesting take. But do you know what? The last 2 weeks of my life has been a fucking disaster. So
really,
every time I try and do something else happens. It's just like for the bloke who doesn't really have a job right now. My days are full. They're full, man.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, I don't really get it.
I don't understand.
I don't get it. I seem to be like, there's times where people go, "Oh, Mike, can you do this for me?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm busy," and I can feel it. Sorry, what?
Yeah,
How are you busy?
Yeah,
like some people I know, like we're talking about getting on for certain games and stuff like that. I'm like, I'll see how it goes. What do you mean, see how you get on? Come on.
Yeah. There's no way I could commit to playing games right now. Like, it's just, I'd love to. I'd love to have a couple of good gaming sessions, but you know, I live in a house with a lot of animals, so. If I sit down, something will go wrong. The fucking parrot will have a heart attack, or the pigeon will fall, or something.
You've got that extra responsibility. And to be fair, like sometimes, obviously, herself does be looking after the cats a lot more than me, but they do take up time when they want attention.
Right, they do.
They want attention. They want attention, and you will not get to do anything during that time.
You get to do nothing else. I try to do my notes when I let the birds out for a flap, in the evening. And I'll make a cup of tea and I'll sit there, I'll have my notepad out, and I'm like, okay, because we like tonight we're a night later than we would usually record the podcast, just because I didn't have time this week to sit down. Every time I sat down with a notepad to put together this list and do my notes, the parrot would jump on my hand and steal the pen out of my hand, and I'd have to fight the parrot for the pen. And I tried to give him his own pen, but he didn't want his own pen. Like, he wanted my pen. So I'd like give him my pen and I'd start writing with the other pen, and he'd drop that pen and try and steal the one I had in my hand. So I can't fucking win.
You need to become ambidextrous, maybe.
And then one of the pigeons will land on my shoulder, and the pigeon will want to rub, and the parrot will attack the pigeon, and then the pigeon will attack the parrot, and they've got like bird warfare. So and then one of the dogs is in heat. And
do the birds actually want a little rub?
Oh yeah.
That's mad.
Oh man, the parrot in particular. Parrot bites you if you don't rub it.
Wow.
Take a lump out of you.
Is it keep them warm, or just love the comfort of it?
No, they just love it. They want to see they look like they're dying. They start yawning and all when you're rubbing them, like making noises and all.
Oh, deadly.
Like the pigeon gets flat like a pancake and kind of sticks its arse up in the air, and you have to rub it in the back of the head, and it starts like a cat, like starts vibrating. They're mad jokes. Anyway, that's it for this week, for the lost avian fucking podcast. We're back on Monday. We're back on Monday with a show. We didn't have a live show last Saturday because, as we mentioned, we're moving the live show to every second week. So by the time this comes out, there should be a live show for you this Saturday coming, and we'll have a fresh podcast for you the Monday after. If you like what we do, you can support us by going to patreon.com/Lost Art Podcast. That's a monthly subscription service, and it's €5 a month to get access to loads of exclusive podcasts and videos and loads of little projects and messing around that we're doing. If you don't want to subscribe, you got to ko-fi.com/Lost Art Podcast, and there just tip us for our work, because that's our kind of job at the moment. All the links for this are in the podcast feed. They're on our Facebook page, they're on our website, which is lostartpodcast.com. So if you don't want to spend any money, that's fine as well. If 10% is donated money and the other 90% just shared the link, we'd be happy, I think, to be honest with you.
Very much so, yeah. And we do appreciate the people that are still on Patreon, because there's 100%. Still a solid crew there. And we will be...
solid crew.
I know we keep mentioning this, but there is a video we are working on. It's just taking a little bit longer because you'll see why. And we'll probably be sticking that on Patreon a few days before, as long as we can before we release it.
Yes,
to the rest of you guys, because Patreon people have been really patient.
Yes, they get dibs on stuff beforehand. I think that's only fair.
They did get our listening to Lemonade, which you will do another one of them soon.
We're going to do another, maybe in a week or two.
Yeah, cool. So thanks to the Patreon people that are already doing it. If you want to get on there, there's a shitload of content you're going to get already that has been drip fed over the last year and a half or so, or however long it's been.
Yeah.
So check it out. And if, it really does help. It's very small amount. And either way, whether it's Ko-Fi or Patreon, it's very small amount.
Exactly.
And we notice it adds up for us and it helps us paying for increasingly like rising bills of Spotify and
everything's going up, bastards. I went to Tesco the other night. It cost me £200, man.
Tesco have shot up since the pandemic. I've noticed.
Robbing bastards, and their stuff's not even good, cunts. Anyway, that's it for this week. Back next week. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good night, good morning, whatever you are. Night.